When life gives you lemons, make lemonade. Team Heart and Soul today on the Do Hard Things Today podcast. Hal Morris, back at it again, man. How you doing?
Doing great.
Good, man. We are, of course, everything's been canceled. We had like a funeral last week for the Dopey Challenge and
Run Disney,
Run Disney, and all of our Ironmans. Everything that's been going on has been canceled. But we are here to make lemonade today, and we are bringing in we got 3 guests in the studio with us today to talk about making lemonade out of these bad lemons we've been given. But before we talk to them, how are things going for you?
Good.
Staying focused?
Staying focused, just doing a little bit of run, bike. My swimming's kind of got shut down for dermatologist issues, but he said to not swim for a couple of weeks, so don't look at my hands. He got a hold of them with his liquid nitrogen. So
nice. Nice, man.
When you get old, that's what happens.
When you get old, they start burning stuff off.
That's right.
That's okay, man.
Yeah.
That's okay. Now, how is you do your Friday weigh-ins with your two buddies?
Oh, you know about that, yeah.
How are those going?
It's been good. I lost 10 pounds in 5 weeks, so 2 pounds a week is what I usually can do.
Yeah, good deal.
So
good deal.
Thursdays are rough.
Yeah,
the day before the weigh-in. Yeah. I'm dehydrated and hungry. And one night I texted him. I said, "Can I put in like $5 to do an early weigh-in? You know, like on Thursday night."
Yeah. You're like the UFC. Weighing in.
Weigh in early. Put $5 in the pot, but they didn't go for it.
All right, man. Well, good deal. We're trying to stay focused, and today we're gonna talk to some people that are staying focused, and they were actually signed up. For those of you that follow the podcast, you know that the Augusta 70.3 is a big race for many people in our group, and we had a pretty good sized group going down this year to do it, and including Hal and myself. And we've got 3 people on the podcast that we're actually going to do. They were going to go down and do this, and of course it got canceled. And we've talked about it, the last couple of weeks. You really got 2 choices, and you can just kind of, kick back and gain 25 pounds and lose everything else that you've got, or you can figure out how you're going to stay focused. And these guys definitely stay focused. So we're going to talk about that story, and then talk about what they're doing to really make a really good impact in the community that they live in, based off of what they're doing and their fitness goals. So just want to introduce, this is Team Heart and Soul. So guys, introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about your background, and then we want to talk to you guys about what you're doing.
I'm Morgan Smith, part of Team Heart and Soul. We all of us, and they can tell you themselves, we're from Woodruff, the big city of Woodruff down there. And we got into triathlons and Ironman kind of at the end of last year, beginning of this year.
I'm Jay Phillips, and I'm only here because Morgan is making me be here. Now, we'll talk about this a bunch today, but Morgan really is kind of the culprit for a lot of the stuff that we've done. He kind of entered into the endurance side of training way quicker than we did with some of the ultras that he did and stuff like that. But as far as background, I really don't have a ton of a fitness background other than I've done some Spartan races and that kind of stuff. But
cool.
Nothing to the effect of triathlons at all. Did some mountain biking when I was younger, but never did any kind of triathlon stuff until he sent a text message, and I felt like it's like, yeah, well, let's do it.
Yeah.
I'm Nathan Craig, lifelong athlete, but not an endurance athlete. So I would consider myself the third wheel in this trio, but I am. It's been a great physical journey for me. Just doing something hard and setting out to do something that 6 months ago I'd have told you I never would have done in my life. So just excited about what we're doing and what's to come.
Now Woodruff, for those that are listening, we've got a lot of people around here listening that know where Woodruff is, but we got people listening all over the country. We're halfway between. We told you this before. We're halfway between Atlanta and Charlotte, and basically the Greenville-Spartanburg area. But Woodruff is a small town. It is a small town, and it is definitely not. When you think endurance community, Woodruff is not the first place that comes to your mind. And so for you guys, and you grew up in Woodruff, how did you know, you talk about not having an endurance background, but we got all kind of people on the podcast, and people that you mentioned, Spartan races, ultras, those kind of things. So what did you guys, you know, there had to be something that kind of sparked you to, I want to do a little something more. We're gonna jump in, and you mentioned last year. So was Augusta going to be your first 70.3, or is this something you guys had? So it was going to be your first. So your background, it sounds like you guys were involved in CrossFit, that kind of thing, the Spartan type stuff that we've talked about before here. So you're doing those things, and then you decide to start going down this road. So we talk about the team heart and soul. So let's talk about, did those things start at the same time, or were you, once you started doing this, you're like, hey, let's do something that can impact our community as well?
Yeah, so just backtracking a little bit, we've all kind of done CrossFit and got on a really good regimen of doing that every day. But if you're not competing in CrossFit, you're kind of just doing it every day just to stay fit.
It's just a workout.
Yeah, just a workout, just a way to stay fit. It's very social for us. We got a big group of friends that do that, and it's awesome to meet together every morning at 5 to knock that out. But I kind of got to the point last year where I said, I want to start training for something, kind of an end goal. And for me, that was kind of before Team Heart and Soul came on. I started looking and found videos of initially the Barkley marathons.
Oh, yeah. That's a great one to start off. Look at that.
Which just kind of got me interested in ultra marathons in general. And so I started looking through that, found Matthew Hammersmith and Upstate Ultras, and did his 50K at Paris Mountain last year. And then I went down to Charleston and did 100K. And these guys both came down and were crewing for me. And then it ended up, I was signed up for the Knock on Wood 100 mile in April of this year, and that got canceled because of COVID. And that was the first kind of test of, hey, I've trained this long for it. I still want to do it. And so I did it through Woodruff. They again crewed for me all night. Took me 32 hours or so. And once I finished that, we had a huge community, friends and family that came together and supported that goal. And we were praying, as kind of we mentioned before, for Miss Brenda Harrison. Yep. And the Harrison family and the community just kind of rallied around that and what I was doing to kind of bring the community together. And once I finished that, I said, we need to carry this momentum kind of forward. And so we started talking, and I was just randomly watching videos one night and saw a video about an Ironman. And I was like, that's it. That's what I'm going to do next. And so I texted Jay first and said, I'm going to do an Ironman. And he was like, well, I'm in. I'll completely do it. None of us have ever swam competitively, biked at all. Jay had biked some, but me and Nathan had never biked. I'd ran a little bit, but it was something just new for all of us. And
you
they
ran
jumped.
a little bit. 100 miles.
Yeah. But we all jumped in, and that's kind of how we started the plan for the triathlons this year.
All right, talk to our audience about, because I believe that some people say they're just two completely different things. I don't agree with that. I think that CrossFit, that functional type training is a great base. Or some people there, if you research, there are some people that do endurance events and all they do is CrossFit.
Right.
And they talk about that. I don't necessarily know that's the best idea, but talk about how you feel like that prepared you guys for what you're doing now, stepping into the endurance field.
Well, I'm probably the newest to being consistent at CrossFit, but I mean, if you know anything about a CrossFit workout, there's two parts. There's a strength portion. After you warm up and all that, there's a strength portion, and then there's what they call metcons, which I don't really honestly know what it stands for. Some kind of
metabolic conditioning.
Yeah, yeah. I told you I'm new. I don't know.
There's always one guy in a group that knows like what the stuff stands for. Everybody else is kind of like, we just do it.
His name's Morgan. So anyway, the metcon is honestly, sometimes it's like a Fran style workout could be 4 to 6 minutes or 3 minutes, and you're completely dead. Like heart rate is out of your body high. So then there's some workouts that take 20, 30 minutes, but still the majority of that, it's in the metcon portion, it's an extremely high heart rate. So talking about the endurance side, in that part of CrossFit, you're learning to force your heart rate, to control your heart rate, to force it down. So when it comes to, and there's biking in CrossFit, there's rowing in CrossFit, there's lots of movements that you see in triathlon stuff. And so there's a few big names, but like like a Rich Froning person who does CrossFit. If you watched, what was it, 2000 and there was a CrossFit Games that he competed in, and swimming was one of the events. And he just he's Mr. CrossFit. He's won everything you can win, and he about dies in a swimming pool.
Yeah.
Because swimming is so. And there's like a Netflix special that we watched of his or whatever. But I mean, CrossFit and yeah, you're right, the triathlon side, they are kind of merged now. You see a lot of CrossFit athletes starting to do like the Andes race.
Yeah.
I know you did that one. There were multiple people that we knew that are CrossFit superstars in our area that were doing that event just to like experience the biking side, the swimming side and all that. But there's a funny joke inside of CrossFit about how they can sling all this weight around, super strong, but you go tell them to run like a half mile and they all just die.
Yeah.
But and the gym that we're a part of, we're starting to see a lot now of like some of the workouts just have rounds and sets and reps of like go run 400, go 400 meters and do this, then you got to run another 400, and then you finish with like a half mile at the end and stuff. So those workouts, for me, I feel like better are suited towards the endurance side of stuff. But then like you've got somebody like Morgan who can go in and power clean a bazillion pounds, but also go run a marathon right after. He's a monster. And then people like Nathan he was an offensive lineman. He's built like an offensive lineman, so the man can move weight. So CrossFit's it really is a good like balance of all different kind of sports and stuff like that.
Well, and you talk about being healthy. There's a couple that they've kind of got to set up like you were talking about, that barn where they've got, it's basically pretty much like a CrossFit gym, but we've had them on a couple of times, and he made a statement. You're talking about the functional training. He said, I look at it when I'm training of I'd like to be able. He said, if I had to protect my family and my home, I'd like to be able to do that with.
Right.
And he said that sounds almost barbaric, but you're functionally training your body to be strong and healthy. And sometimes for endurance, for people that do endurance sports, many times that strength element is one that just gets put to the side, and they're just not strong.
Right.
Now, they may be very fit and can run and run and run, but they're not strong. So I personally think it's a great thing to have inside of your regimen with that. Speak to this for a second, because when you talk about CrossFit, if you go Google CrossFit and Google, is CrossFit good for you? Okay, you're going to get a lot of good things, but the negative, the thing that people are always going to come at you with is, well, you're going to get hurt. You're going to get hurt. You're in there doing crazy things. You're doing that. Put those myths to bed for our listeners, and tell them what they need to be looking for if they're going to walk into a CrossFit box or another functional training type atmosphere. What do they need to look for and do to keep them from getting quote unquote injured doing the quote unquote crazy things?
Yeah, so if you go to a gym and they're only pushing you to do the most amount of weight that you can do, and they're not teaching you how to scale the movements or the weights, you don't need to be in that gym, to be completely honest. I had a gym down in Woodruff for a few years that actually mostly comprised of women, and the women that I had were completely new to CrossFit, and so teaching them how to scale their weights and their movements was key for me, as well as making them feel comfortable. A lot of people can see CrossFit on TV or on YouTube or whatever, and it can look intimidating because you see the best of the best. It's like watching the NFL and somebody telling you, hey, you need to go play those guys. You can't do that. You have to scale it down to what you can. And so all of us were new at one point. I've been doing CrossFit for 6-ish years, and then everybody else has kind of come in with us and done it. But if you can learn how to scale to begin with, you learn, how to grow kind of as you get stronger and more efficient at the movements. You need people that kind of push you in that direction, not to scare you off.
And even like just last week, one of the owners from the gym that we're kind of associated with came down to the barn that we kind of work out, and he called it Barbell Club. And so it's, everybody in the room has a barbell, and you're working on movements. And like the coach I bet he stopped me 10 times. It was like, stop, do that again, do this different. He's just working on technique. Yeah. And like I said, I'm the newest to it. I've been hurt a couple times, and it's been because of an ego pride. I want to move weight. I want somebody to see me moving that weight.
Hell yeah.
And then I'm doing it completely wrong, and I look stupid because I'm doing it wrong. But I move the weight. Ooh, good for me. Now I can't move because my back hurts.
Yeah.
That's how you get hurt.
And I'm glad you said that, because that was my point. And it's like people that say, well, I can't do squats because they hurt my knees, or I can't do lunges because they hurt my knees. And then you ask them to do, okay, show me how you're doing one. Mm-hmm. And it's like, well, let me show you why you're doing that.
Yep.
You're,
exactly.
You're over your knees, those kind of things. We talk about squats. We do like boot camp and things, and I tell people, and I say, man, that sounds very basic. I said, well, it really is a basic movement. Go down, push your butt back, keep your back out of it, and when you come forward, thrust your hips forward.
Right.
Use your big muscles to do those things. But it's like the guy in the gym with the 135 pounds on a barbell trying to do bicep curls, and he's literally, he is swinging back and forth, and you're like, man, he's going to fall over and kill himself. But it is, for us, especially guys, it's that ego gets in the way. All right, so you got the CrossFit background. Or you go online, you're watching the Barkley Marathons. Those of you who don't know what that is, that's a great, I don't know if it's on Netflix or Prime now. It goes back and forth. I don't know which one it's on, but yeah, it's probably Prime right now. But it's called the Barkley Marathons. It's a great documentary to watch, but it is hardcore. Where is it, in Tennessee? Yeah, Tennessee. You have to get invited to go do it, and it's for the truly. Well, you got to be a little bit elite and a little bit crazy.
A little bit crazy.
Yeah.
A lot crazy. Yeah.
It's nuts. It's really like it's like the course isn't really it's craziness. But you're watching that, you watch the Ironman video. Next thing you know, y'all are signed up. Sounds like you went in on it first, and the next thing you know, he's roped y'all into it. And
Exactly.
that's usually that's usually how it goes. So you start training. And you're going down this road. So let me get my timeline right. So you're doing the 100-miler. You did that in Woodruff.
Yes, that was at the end of April.
Well, that's a long way in Woodruff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's a lot of miles. That's a Woodruff
It's
again.
just a loop that I did back and forth.
Okay.
It's like a 16-mile loop or so.
Uh-huh.
So had Team Heart and Soul been birthed by that point, or did that come from you saw what the community did there? Then that came. When did that start?
Training together at that point a little bit. I think when you do
We started
100 mile,
biking.
we had bought bikes, and but I think once we really got into, we're riding bikes for 2.5 hours on a Saturday, or we're swimming 2 miles on a Thursday morning. Something about kind of that suffering together. It's like, we need to do this for a cause. This needs to be, after witnessing, Morgan's 100 mile was inspirational. There were times where he had 30 people walking behind him, supporting him on that 100 mile. And so I guess we kind of thought we had the vision, like, what if this venture could support somebody else, could be for something else. And so, it's like, well, we got to call it something. What are we going to call it? And there's a verse that we use at the barn that's been really instrumental in my life, but for sure in our fitness journey. But it's 1 Samuel 14:7. It says, the armor bearer looks at Jonathan. He says, do all that you have in your mind. I'm with you, heart and soul. Like, no matter what happens, I'm in. We're going all the way. We're going to, finish this together. And so that was kind of where the name came from. And once the name came, it's like, all right, what are we going to do with this? And it was, we wanted to benefit Woodruff. We wanted to bless somebody in Woodruff, and that's kind of what we're working for right now is raising money towards that goal.
Yeah.
So
go ahead.
I was just going to say, to answer your question, it's kind of like a yes and a no. So we were operating like Team Heart and Soul, like the brotherhood between the three of us, the way that I literally see these guys 5 to 6 days a week in the mornings. Like, every morning we work out together to see each other. And our families, Nathan and I live across the trees from each other. And our kids are on like some of the same teams, and they go to school together. We hang out all the time. So the mindset of do all that you have in mind, like, we were already with each other, heart and soul.
Yeah.
that's good.
We just didn't put a brand to it
Yeah.
at that point. So it was, that's why it felt correct, and it felt like natural, because we didn't force anything. We weren't like, oh, let's start this cool triathlon team and do all these races. That was like an afterthought. We were already kind of living that lifestyle. But to speak a little bit to what Nathan was talking about with blessing the community, I was struggling trying to find a why to do all of this. And I talk about watching videos. I bet I've cried watching 10 to 15 Ironman videos on YouTube.
Yeah.
Morgan will send a link to one, and you're sitting in your office watching it, and you just start crying. I mean, because
it's inspirational
It's
to see
just-
people work
Oh,
so
yeah.
hard to do that.
And you hear in all of those stories, this is why I'm doing this. My son, blah blah blah, or there was a sickness in the family, and we're doing this for so and so, you know. And I was just struggling to try to find the why behind, like, why am I going to get up at 4:30 a.m. and
Every morning.
go drowned in a swimming pool, and then go to work? You know, like that was all before work starts. And I don't remember whose idea it was, but trying to give back to the community. You know, Woodruff is a very, very small town, but I'm telling you, there are 3 people right here that nobody loves Woodruff as much as we do.
Yeah.
Like, and for whatever reason, we just love that city, love the people of that city, and it's been awesome watching the community like get behind it. I don't know if it's because they enjoy watching us suffer on all our videos, and they're like, "Hey, here's $50 towards, you know, you guys. Here's your pay your hospital bills." I don't know, you know, I don't know the heart behind it, but like people have given. I'm just shocked.
It's been contagious.
About
It's been
the-
contagious.
I mean, I posted a video Friday from the Woodruff 70.3, and we've already
Yeah.
got like 9,000 views in 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
People are just interested in what we're doing, and I think it's because Woodruff is not a breeding ground of triathlon and endurance sports. It's so like nobody else in the city of Woodruff are doing Ironman.
There was plenty of people that we had to tell them what a triathlon was.
Yeah.
And that's the video you saw.
Yeah,
Morgan came up with the idea, talking to somebody at work, and I think you were just like, I don't think they knew what an Ironman was. So we're
Yeah.
like, we need to do a video that's like, hey, it's swimming and biking and running, and here's the distance.
And that's kind of explain what it meant and
Yeah.
what
Right.
you were doing.
And
That's cool.
and then you get that look.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Why are you doing that?
What?
My dad gives me that all the time. He's like, why are you doing that?
And you can't stress enough. I mean, what you said is so true. I mean, it is. We talked about it. I've got family that lives in Woodruff, and I know. I mean, gosh, I know half the town. You know, it's 100% not a triathlon
Oh, not at
town,
all.
not a fitness town, that kind of thing. You know, what'll be interesting to see, and I feel you may have already seen this. I feel 100% confident you will see it, is what impact it has on people that don't become. This is what I really liked about the podcast and the kind of fitness community, the Do Hard Things community, Hub City Runners community. It's not necessarily those. We got some that Ironman triathletes. They're doing ultras. Hardcore. I mean, they're at the top of the heap of age groupers, and those people are obviously inspiring. But I'm always more inspired by the people that we had one on, Allison Miller, a couple of weeks ago, who her son tragically passed away. I coached him for years, and you know, she has admitted she let herself go, had some, I mean, really gained a lot of weight, and she's out walking. She'll text me or mess me up her little thing, and it's like 3 miles, and may have taken her 30 minutes, about 3 miles.
Awesome.
I mean, not 30 minutes. That's not right. It was 15 minutes. So 45 minutes. She did a 15-minute mile walking, and you know, whereas I may go, man, if I was, I'd have to walk really slow to do 15. We're out doing, you know, obviously running faster paces, more intensity, doing these things. But it's those people that make a decision based off of your encouragement and your story and those kind of things to truly change their life,
Right.
and get there where they get off the couch and they walk around the block. I mean, there are probably people that will start walking around the block at Woodruff,
Mm-hmm.
you know, based off of the inspiration from you. Well, heck, man, if they can do all this crazy, I'm never going to do that because they're insane.
Yeah.
That's what people think. They're
Yeah.
like, they're insane. I like it. I'm going to support them. I'm going to support their mission. But you know what? I can get out and I'm going to try to walk 30 minutes 3 times a week, and I'm going to try to make a little bit better choices in eating. And so it'll be interesting to see as this grows and continues what happens. And you know, it could transform a community and their health and so many things there. So Team Heart and Soul gets going. And how did you find the Augusta 70.3? Obviously, it's close geographically, but what was the thought process behind why we're going to do the Ironman Augusta 70.3?
Well, like when I first sent the message to Jay, the video I watched was a full Ironman. I really wasn't aware at that time that there was a half Ironman. And so I said, I want to do an Ironman. And he just naturally, per his, what he normally did, he's like, let's do it. Let's
Stop
go.
talking about it. Sign
Let's
up.
go.
It's a great idea.
And, and like I said, I was telling Hal, we didn't know anything really about triathlons. I'd never done one at all. I'd never cycled at all. Never swam competitively in any way. So we jump in, and Jay very intelligently at some point said, we might need to try a half before we do a full. And so we started looking, and I think Jay was probably the one that found the Augusta one first. And we were all in. And Jay's got some family that has done the Augusta that was kind of helping us, giving us some information on it. So
And swimming in the river didn't hurt.
That's
Downstream,
right. That's a
Great
good
shot.
first half to do, isn't it, Kevin?
Well, let me warn you of it is a great swim wise, and that's what it feels like. Man, you can get in and you can float down the river.
Yeah.
But let me just tell you, now this year the weather would have been
We missed a
perfect,
beautiful day
perfect
for Augusta.
Oh gosh,
exactly, yeah.
What was it? 2 years ago when this is when Hal was first.
I was a spectator,
kind of getting involved in seeing this stuff. We were down there, and it was like 98 degrees.
Oh yeah,
how hot
over
it was.
100 heat index.
Heat index was over 100. I mean, it was just brutal. So the heat can be, of course, it's just like it is around here. I mean, the heat can be nasty style,
Sure.
but it is a great community down there. It's a good one to get going in. So you picked the Augusta 70.3. So how did you start? You guys are going. You're going to a barn, working out, doing CrossFit workouts, doing these things. So how did you transition into swimming, the biking? Did you just kind of jump into it? Did you download a plan? Did you?
Yes.
The next podcast we're doing is called "Stupid Stuff Triathletes and Runners."
Well, we need to come
Let us
back
on
for
that
that.
one.
We need to come back.
And that is what you just said was like, let's do it. Let's
Dude,
go.
we could give you 2 episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah. We started just quickly. We decided to do the Ironman and kind of start training for it right about the time I did my 100-mile, because we had actually just bought bikes before the 100-mile. And so we started swimming kind of April-ish.
It was so cold.
It was in my pool. And so when you have to swim 1,000 meters in my little
36
backyard
foot pool.
pool, I mean, you're just swimming for like 3 hours. We literally put dry noodles out there so we could move them so we know how many laps we swam. It was very rough.
Terrible.
And then, it was awful. And thank goodness we don't swim there anymore because it took
You're
forever.
talking about stupid things.
Yeah.
Like I've never swam in my life, other than like
in a pool, but
yeah,
not
well,
like,
I mean,
It's
I've
different.
never put my face in the water and turned to breathe while I was still swimming. So like a freestyle, I've never done that.
Well, and for those of you that don't know anything about triathlon and swimming, most of you are sitting there thinking, well, I could swim. Yeah, I can
That's
swim.
what I thought.
Yeah,
That's
it's
the
not
stupid
the
thing.
same.
You're
No.
defining swimming as I can go in the deep end and not drown.
Yeah.
That's how we
Exactly.
define it. But it is for most people, when you go to a pool, if you go to a local Y or anything, and the short lanes going across the pool, that's 25 yards. Most people, when you throw them in, and how you experienced this, 6 months ago when you say how long ago
I
did you
started in
start swimming?
January.
Started in January, so he's not 10 months now. I mean, it's first time I jumped in the pool to go swim like that. I couldn't make I can make it across one time, but when I got to that wall,
I didn't make one time.
yeah, I thought I was going to die. I mean, you're
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
you
I
get
was-
panicked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. I
Well,
mean,
we were talking about this before the show started, but we did Andy's race as well. I know I'm getting the timelines mixed up here, but literally like that was on a Sunday, right?
Yeah.
So the Thursday swim before that was one of our long half training swim days. So we swam it's like 3,000 or 3,100.
Yeah, almost
Yeah.
2 miles.
So they did that whole workout, which is a lot of swimming. And I'm thinking Andy's race, 400 meters. Got this. I'm going 7, 8 minutes. Like we good. I got 200 meters in, and I'm like, I'm going to die. Somebody come get me out. I'm going to start waving my
These
arm.
lifeguards need to get in this pool.
I hope somebody's looking at me. I don't know what's happening, but I can't swim. I'm dead. Like, how do I get to the wall? If I get to the wall, how do I get back to my truck? Like,
I was the last one out of the pool at
Yeah.
Andy's race. I had the lifeguards to myself.
Man, what a blessing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, that's something that we had to learn. You know, we go in blind. You can't just jump into a pool wide
as hard
open
as
at the
you can,
beginning
but-
of a triathlon. At least we can't, or I can't, because it just jacks your heart rate up. So that was a very good learning experience for us.
I'm
But
glad I got to do it.
Yeah.
We did learn, like, when we first started the training, like, we started to see strengths and weaknesses from everybody real quick. And Nathan, hands down, is such a good swimmer in
Best.
comparison to us. And
Until y'all got wetsuits.
yeah, then we
Yeah,
got
now-
wetsuits.
now
and
we
it's a different
float.
Story. But anyway, so, like, you know, that once it started warming up, we swam some there, and then we our local sports club, a gym near our house, opened the pool, so we were able to go there, which was phenomenal to swim more than 30 feet without having to stop, and you know, that was great. But the biking side, man, we just kind of, I had done mountain biking and I started training for Mount Mitchell stuff, but I ended up not finishing it just because I didn't love I loved mountain biking. I did not love the like cycling road stuff. So I knew a little bit about bikes and had some experience. And we jumped in and bought brand new bikes. We were like, this is great. Here we go. 3 months.
Yeah.
We were like, nah, we're getting a TT bike. These brand new bikes, we got to get them out
We
of here.
gotta sell these
So
things.
here we are. I mean,
Uh-huh.
talk about stupid things. Like,
Yeah.
we should have just waited and figured out, like, that we were going to actually do this. And
Mhm.
instead of losing so much money and buying a new bike, selling it, and then trying to buy another bike, there's just so many things like that we've
Yeah.
purchased that was like, oh, everybody uses these on YouTube.
Yeah.
Let me go
We
ahead and
need
buy
these.
one.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
like
even know where it is, and I don't use it now.
it's like a
Uh-huh.
disease
It
that you
is.
get. Yeah, that
Yes.
you get. So you get into your training, and you said you're going 5 days a week to the CrossFit, to the barn. You call it the barn.
Yeah,
So we
mhm,
got going
the
to
barn.
going to the barn. And did you continue your 5 days a week? How did you adjust your training with that?
So we do use a training plan, a training app that lays it out for us daily. You know, our swim days, our brick days, running days, so forth. But we typically will swim on Mondays and either Wednesday or Thursday. So we're swimming 2 days a week, and the other days we kind of do our training for triathlon at night, and we'll still go to the barn in the morning. So there's kind of a couple days a week that we do.
Which is going to be, go ahead.
Morgan goes to the barn every morning. The rest of us sleep in sometimes.
That's just true. To be honest, the truth.
Full transparency.
It's
Yeah.
called recovery.
Yeah.
Yeah, rest.
Recovery mornings. That's right.
I'm bad at that.
It's going to be interesting now because, I mean, we've still got goals and races we've signed up for coming up, but the days are getting shorter. Like that evening training stuff when you can bike until 8:30 or 9.
Yeah.
You know, you're capping out now about 7.
And Jay and I have purchased trainers, bike trainers, which are death machines. You know, they're terrible.
Instruments of
God, I
torture.
love
I'm
do. I mean,
yeah,
I
no,
love
no,
it. That's what I love.
I thought you were
Oh
joking.
no,
No, I do.
I
really
don't know
do.
what
He
kind
does.
you have.
Yeah, I
I'm in the
hate
market
'em.
for one, and they keep talking about how terrible
they're
it is.
so bad.
Yeah.
We've got the Zwift
Oh, I
kind of
hate
setups and do that, and it's terrible.
I would rather bike 3 hours on the road than bike 30 minutes on a trainer.
Yeah.
That's how much I hate it.
Yeah.
I know, and it really is. I think that goes to the differences. I mean, there's things that, like, I absolutely, gosh, I hate swimming. I hate it. And if something's going to go, it's going to be that. But for me, I love that trainer, and I never miss my trainer workout.
Okay.
Never.
That's
And
awesome.
like this during this time of year, I mean, and Hal and them, they're still out. I mean, y'all ride on the road all the time.
Yeah, we'll ride all winter.
Yeah, I haven't been on the
I'll ride
road.
with you.
Yeah.
I haven't had my bike on the road in. It's been a couple of months before I've had my bike on the road.
Really?
All trainer,
Yeah.
trainer, but I have seen gains over the last. But it's what I've been committed to. It's just like you've seen with your strengths and weaknesses of what we do. But my swim it's been gradually on a decrease, on a decline, because I just haven't been putting in the time. So you guys are doing this. You pick out this big goal, and you're marching down this road. All right. So COVID happens. You know, we're back in March, April. Races start getting canceled. Where about in the timeline did you guys start to come to grips with, okay, there's a 50-50 chance this may not happen. We're marching down this road. We've got this, and sometimes when you do these things, you especially when you've got a the team heart and soul, and you're trying to do good things for the community and raise money to support, these local things, local families. You sometimes you start feeling the burden of those people on your back, and then you start thinking, well, what if this thing? It's not about do I go finish the race, but what if it gets canceled? Then what? So about what time frames you guys start to really start talking about? Well, there's a good chance this may not happen, and talk us through that, the emotions of that, and then when it finally did get canceled, of okay, what were the conversations happening then? Because we all went through that. We all went through it, and I know it was like, well, last week was the week that Disney, they canceled the Dopey and the whole Walt Disney World Marathon weekend, and when that came down, it's kind of like you could see it coming. It's like that wreck you see in slow motion. You can just kind of see it coming, but then it happens, and you're still like, oh man, I can't believe it happened. I knew it was going to happen, but I can't believe it happened. So talk us through that, especially with as hard as you guys had trained, and you've got all these people that are on board with you and supporting you, and then bam, this happens.
Yeah, so I'll let everybody kind of answer. I know it's different for each of us, but I had already felt that heartbreak a whole bunch because I had signed up for the whole year worth of Spartan races, and I was getting a trifecta pass. I was doing the ultra Spartan race, all this stuff I'd signed up for, and it was like dominoes. All of them started getting canceled. So I'd kind of resolved a little bit opposite of what you're talking about. I was okay if the Augusta race got canceled because I knew we could still do it. I could not do the Spartan races. Like, there was no virtual option to do that obstacle course with the mud, and there's no way to replicate that. So that was just a heartbreak. But the Ironman stuff, I knew in the back of my mind, like, and honestly, from seeing his 100-mile, where there were 50 people at my house lined down the driveway, cheering, signs, all this kind of stuff, I was like, the community would get behind this. And that was that glimmer of hope. So I never really felt like a negative. I did the day that they sent the email that they canceled. I had just said at work, I was like, I don't think they're going to cancel this thing. Like, I just was like, we're getting close. There's been no email. Like, we're in. We're doing it.
Yeah,
and then I got home and
I was watching those numbers in Georgia.
Yeah. For real. And Georgia was being so loose with COVID
they were.
stuff. They were like, no mask laws at that. They're still like, if you watch a Georgia football game on TV yesterday, nobody's got masks, and there's quadruple. So I was same thing. I was watching and pumped, but that was my approach. Was I actually saw this might, if it does get canceled, there's a good possibility that like this is going to be even better because it will be local and we'll get more people involved.
Yeah, that mine was very similar. We're all really strong men of faith, and when I did my 100-mile and kind of started feeling that I wanted the community to be involved somehow, I prayed for opportunities for that. And the 100-mile getting canceled, I think, was a kind of blessing in disguise that I got to do it in the community, because the whole community really, and we mentioned the Harrison family, were really behind them and praying for a lot of people in the community that had stuff going on. And so once we started getting closer to the Augusta, and we had mentioned it a couple times, what do we do if this gets canceled? And Jay immediately, he was like, we'll do it just like your 100-mile. We'll do it here. We'll do it ourselves. So the letdown that I thought that I may have when I got the email wasn't really there. I was like, it's another opportunity for us to be able to do it here, and our families can be there, our communities can be there, because there was some rumors that if they get to hold it, there's no spectators, there's none of this, and nobody would get to kind of experience that with us. So I think this was a kind of a blessing in disguise. So.
Yeah, and for me, we started training first week of May, and I'd never done endurance. I mean, I'm a big guy, I never ran, and so mid-June, early July, I'm thinking, we're starting to ride for 2.5 hours on a Saturday, and so I'm getting to this point where I'm like, well, maybe I can really do this. Like physically, maybe my body can do this. And then we did the Reaper Challenge late July. Did Andy's race the first week of August, and like I met my goals, and so I'm like pumped. I'm like, I think I can actually do this. But when it got canceled, then that little devil creeps in. Like, oh, you could just sit back and not do it, and you could just say you're going to do it. But of course, these guys aren't going to let me do that. So it was there's a little bit of a letdown there because, something about doing an official race, saying I've done it. But the opportunity to do it in the community ended up being way greater because, like you said, our family got to participate and everybody was there. It was awesome.
Yeah, you said something I don't want to let go. You said you were training, started doing those 2.5 mile bike rides, and you started. For most people, they can point to a time whenever they're training for something. A lot of times you're training for things, whether it be a marathon, a triathlon, whatever it may be, and there's always a lot of doubt, always a lot of, I don't know if I can do it. Usually there is one point in time where people can point to it's some key workout they hit where they cross that bridge and say, you know what, I think I might really be able to do that. Did that happen for you?
Oh, yeah, it did for me, definitely. There was a Sunday afternoon. We had it's either a 2-hour run or an hour and 40-minute run, or it might have been an 80% distance. I can't remember. But I just remember, I didn't wake up that morning and run. Went to church. I sat around in the afternoon, and my wife's like, Nathan, you gonna go? You gonna run? And I'm like, man. And so I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm going. Yeah. I'm gonna do it.
Mm-hmm.
And about an hour 40, I think it was a 2-hour run. And about hour 45 in, I hit mile 8 or something like that, and I was like, I think I can do this. And I got done, and I was like, I can do this. Yeah. I'm 3 miles short. I got the mile. I think I ran 10 miles that day, but I was like, I think I can actually do this.
Yeah.
I mean, it's realistic. It's right there in front of me. So for sure.
And the encouragement there. Go ahead, Hal.
Oh, I've had that. Yeah, I had that moment too when I was training for Mount Mitchell, and I was sitting on my trainer on a long, trainer ride, and it hit me. I said, I can do this.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, and the encouragement there is that if you just with training, it's just that daily consistency of just, and it's not meant, the glory isn't, and we all think we're running for that, and we all love it when they put the medals around their neck, and that feels great to go across the finish line. But the real satisfaction for the vast majority of people is when you cross that finish line, it's this culmination of, gosh, man, those early morning runs by myself. That time I jumped in the pool and it was freezing cold. I had to sit there for 10 minutes just to get myself where I could go across the pool. It's those times that you think back on that give you the satisfaction of knowing that, I did something. I did the hard things daily, and then I was able to reach my goal. Coach Katie Malone was on. She a regular on the podcast, and she made a comment. We're talking about how do we come out of this? Everything's been canceled. 2020, everybody's going to stay up on New Year's Eve to make sure that 2020 goes away. Make sure it's really behind us.
Yeah.
But she said something that was so poignant of adapt and adjust. And so this happened, and it's like you guys adapted, you adjusted, and next thing you know, we've got the Woodruff 70.3. Now that may not be as big as the Augusta 70.3 or wherever, St. George 70, I'm running races, but the next thing you know, we've got the Woodruff 70.3. So tell us how did you guys come up with that idea and plan out a course and talk us through that all the way through the actual culmination of the event?
Yeah, I peeked at your Strava on the bike course, and so I'll ask that question when we get there.
Well, we probably know exactly what question you're going to ask.
That's what I was about to say. The majority of the course planning, Strava related. We've trained. All the training happens in Woodruff anyway, so we kind of had a ballpark of distances that were going to be easy to figure out for the run. Even the bike, there were 4 or 5 different bike options that we knew, hey, we can get 56 miles in. It's just which one's going to be the most painless, from an elevation standpoint.
We missed the mark.
We definitely missed the mark. But
that's where I'm going with my question.
We'll get there.
Yeah.
But the swim was what we were having the most trouble with. Was we wanted it to be as true to a real Ironman as possible, aka open water, versus just getting in like a local pool or something and doing a bunch of laps.
Yeah.
Which was an option,
Yep.
but we wanted, so we thought through a bunch of places, and we ended up reaching out to some folks that were like, yeah, come on down and do it. It was a phenomenal facility. And it was just perfect. That I can't believe how that worked out, and it was just perfect. But everything else was me sitting on Strava drawing maps
sending all these guys, which one you want? Do you like this? Do you want to go this way? How do you know?
So who picked out Chickenfoot Creek Road?
That would be me. And you know what's funny?
They
It's
did Chickenfoot
the
Creek Road.
worst hill I've ever done in my life, and we had
I
never
saw that.
ridden
I
it.
said,
That's the worst road.
Yeah. So
25 miles.
we drew all these maps, and everything else about that entire map, if you looked at it on Strava, we ride all the time.
"Oh yeah, yeah."
I needed one cut through from Lightwood around
Yeah.
417 to get over to Green Pine. I was like, well, Chickenfoot's just like a little. So even when the night before when we drove to put signs out, we came down Chickenfoot and we got to the hill, and Morgan was sitting in the back, and he went, okay,
Because his truck downshifted. I was like,
Yeah.
that's
on the hill,
bad
and
for
my
That's
a
some
truck
bike.
bad
shifted.
news.
I was like, this is going to be bad. But I mean, I'm not trying to like belittle how. I mean, when I got to that hill, it was awful.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
talking like was going 38 to 40 down to like 6 up.
Oh yeah.
Like that, and I was like, I might have to unclip and push up this. I don't
And
know if I'm
it
gonna
was
fall
just
over.
to the point we were probably 15, 16, maybe close to 20 miles in at that
That
point.
was about a third in, something like
yeah,
that. Yeah.
and,
That
and
was
then you
bad
hit that
planning.
hill, and it's like, oh my god.
We had about the same elevation total change on many bike rides, and so when we saw that, when Strava told us what the elevation would be, we said, okay, that was the least of the 4 routes that we picked.
It was like
Yeah.
2,600, and the other ones were in the 3,000s and something.
Yeah, it's
so.
hard. It's hard. to-
But this was the most
around here.
drastic changes. I think there was kind of 4 major hills, and that one was by far
God,
the
that was
worst.
so
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah.
When we finished. That's the first thing we were all like, "Oh my gosh, Chickenfoot!" We were all of us like, it was awful.
It's terrible. I mean, that's where, they'll, around here, it's what they'll, you guys use that, didn't y'all do hill repeats on
Hill
that
repeats,
for Mount Mitchell?
Yeah.
To train from
Up
Mount
and
That's
down.
a
Mitchell.
good Mitchell.
I don't ever
Yeah.
want to ride it again. I'm not going to read
Yeah.
it.
Appropriately, there is a graveyard at the top of the hill.
Yep.
that
Yeah.
you look on both
Just wanna
sides.
lay down in it.
Yeah.
Take a nap.
So, now you said facility that you went and swam in. So, talk more appropriately to explain this facility.
So we kind of have to keep where we swam under wraps just a little bit per their request.
Yeah.
But it's a facility that is just magnificent in Woodruff that's used by a lot of people in the community. And they have a huge pond. Really kind of from one point, it's really a lake. One point to the other, if you go all the way back in a little cut, is a mile.
Yeah.
We chose to swim it in 2. We laid it out like a triangle, and we swam that 2 times.
Yeah.
And then we also misjudged the bike coming out of there. It's
Mm-hmm.
about a half mile or so straight uphill. The pond's down in the bottom, and you got to climb out. So that was our first kind of mistake
I
there.
mean, you're clipping in,
Climbing.
grinding out of the lake.
Yeah, so we swam out of there. That was great. I mean, swim couldn't have gone any better. And then biked through Woodruff up 101 towards Greer, and then went out through Reedville, Chickenfoot, that whole area, Green
Yeah.
Pond. Came back below Woodruff towards Innery. No, Cross Anchor, excuse me, and then came back and ended up at my house. I live right near the school system in Woodruff. And then ran roughly the same kind of way through Woodruff up 101, turned around and came back.
Okay.
And it just worked out. I mean, for us to kind of come up with this, like I said, similar to my 100 mile, when it got canceled, it was no option. We were going to do it. And it was the same way with this. So when it got canceled, we immediately started drawing routes. I'm like, we're going to do it here, here, and here. And it could not have gone any more seamless. The logistics of it, the pain was rough, but
Yeah,
the
yeah.
logistics of it were super smooth. Our wives, some parents, cousins, just helped us out. We had mobile aid stations kind of meeting us in specific spots
cool.
to give us water and nutrition stuff. So it was good.
My nephew has a Jeep, and threw his bike at the back of the Jeep in case somebody had a flat. We're just going to change out bikes.
Yeah. So we wanted it to be as close to a true race. We had, some things that we just couldn't mimic, but it was just fantastic experience for us.
So, what was your biggest training day leading up to it?
One of those Saturday bricks.
Yeah, I think the longest ride we had was 3.5 hours. 3.5 hours into like a 45-minute run or so. The biggest adjustment for me personally was the long swim days. The biking is rough. I have run, long distances, so that, it's still challenging, but you kind of mentally know what that's going to be like. But learning the long distance swims on training days, early morning, cold water, was an adjustment for me.
I hate them. What were you going to ask? Was it
that was it, chicken foot, yeah.
Yeah, the chicken foot.
Yeah.
That wasn't the best idea.
I'm glad somebody knows our pain, because when we tell people about that don't have no idea about
they don't
bike
understand.
riding or anything, they have no idea, and they can't feel your pain.
Yeah.
That is so funny.
Yeah.
I love that.
You automatically knew.
I knew. I said, I saw you came up, through Reedville and down Lightwood Knot. And I said, oh, they went down 417. And they went down chicken foot.
Yeah.
I said, oh my gosh.
Yeah. And I imagine there's probably the first time I went on chicken foot, and this before like all the Strava thing, and that first time I rode on it was a mistake. You kind of got a good sense of direction. It's like, all right, I want to get back over to the loop.
Yeah.
I want to get off, 417. Next thing you know, you turn. It's like, well, it's a turn. And it actually looks, when you turn onto it, looks like, oh man, we're gonna go downhill.
Yeah.
And so
Then you go straight.
and then you get about halfway down the hill, and you're like, okay, we're heading towards a creek or something.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna be going up, and so it's a tough. That's definitely a tough course. That is a harder course than what Augusta would have been.
That's good enough.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Because we mentioned we got deferred to next year, so we are planning to do Augusta as well. But that's good to know.
Yeah.
There's you've ridden it, but Augusta's this long climb hills.
Yeah, there's a couple of longer gradual climbs. It's not like around down there, like you said, a lot of. It's significant elevation changes that you're dealing with on that course you guys are on. So you finish, and you've already talked about deferring. So, but what's next? What does 2021 look like? I know you do Spartans and different things. What's 2021 look like, assuming races are going to be held?
We're already signed up for Challenge Daytona, which is another half distance.
December, right?
It's December the 5th.
Yeah.
So we'll go down and do that. We're excited about that because as of right now, it's still happening. A lot of the pros are going to be there because of all the races that got canceled. So we're excited to see them race. We plan to stay and watch them. And then we signed up last week for our full Ironman. That was our ultimate goal, was to do a full. And so we signed up for that. We're going to go to Maryland in 2021, September of next year. And then we've got several races along the way.
So you're going to do that and then follow it right up with Augusta.
Yeah, they were talking about that before you got here.
We didn't realize that at first, but another dumb thing. But we're doing it. We're doing it.
So, what are you going to take on differently? When the full Ironman, we were talking about this. In fact, we're going to do I'm going to do my first full Ironman this coming year.
Nice.
And mine will be the end of July. But we're going to do once a month. We're going to have Coach Katie on, and we're going to do a series called "So You Want to Be an Ironman," and we're going to talk about just the different things: training, mental toughness, all the nutrition, all the things that go into it, and the craziness of it. But it's it's different than we talk about. Usually, you talk to people about half marathons and do they ever want to do a marathon? And so, well, I can do 13 miles. Well, it's just double. But like you guys saw, it's once you kind of get into the deep waters, those waters get deeper and deeper.
Right.
The more more things can go wrong. It's much more mentally challenging. All of those kind of things. So, as you guys have thought through what you're doing, what are you thinking differently, and how's your training with what you've learned doing this 70.3? And I would argue what you guys did was much harder than going to a true race day experience. I mean, you get all jacked up, everything. So I think the mental toughness it took to do that is something to not gloss over. That's a big accomplishment. So what's going to be different? What are you going to tweak? What are you going to add so that you guys are successful in your quest to be Ironman?
I know my answer. Go ahead. I learned a whole lot about nutrition
for training for this half. Like, and probably the bad part of the nutrition, not like the stuff that was worked out real good for me. But I feel like when we started, I initially had, I don't know if I had like a weight, like a scale number in mind of like, I want to be at this weight to do this race. And like, I can drop weight, I can do it. But my body, I never experienced the way my body responded to this kind of training. And like, I would, you know, how many calories you burn training for something like this. I mean, sometimes it's not possible to eat enough to even maintain or stay in the positive, I guess is what I'm saying. And then I would out of nowhere just start like gaining weight. And I'm like, why am I gaining weight? I'm burning all these calories. And my body was just in survival mode, like holding on to everything. And I learned a lot about nutrition in that. So I think I did some things well on race day, prepping for the race day, or like really the week before with hydration and nutrition stuff. And I just read a bunch of stuff online. So for me to do something different, to do that double the distance for the full, like I'm going to have to start taking nutrition like super serious, just because of the way your body responds and feels. Like the difference in eating, you know, a burger and fries when you feel like you can because you just burn so many calories versus putting something that's a little bit cleaner in, just the way you feel. You know, I feel like at least for me, food is like the reward. I don't know if you guys experience that, but it's like I just did all this hard stuff. I'm going to go eat whatever I want, and I can because look what I just did. Yeah. But then I feel bad, and then the next 2 training things are just awful, and it's because of what I had in my body. So I learned that, and so for me, training for the full, I mean, you guys got to keep me accountable for that, but like nutrition is going to have to be a priority for me.
Well, you know, and it's the bigger distances you get into, the more, you know, we've talked about that. It's not, we look at, the mistake is we look at these our training events, like your daily training, that regimen, you look at it as a moment in time, and it's not just a moment in time. It's a part of this bigger narrative of your whole training plan, and it affects. And nutrition is so key, and you'll get into things like electrolytes. You know, what's your sweat rate, and like me, I'm a heavy sweater, salty sweater, and if I get behind on it, I'm dead. I mean, I'm in misery, and I am done. But you're right, and that clean eating. I was listening to, and I don't agree with everything he says, but Rich Roll, who his book Finding Ultra. It's a great thing to listen to if you're on one of those long.
I've read it. It's good.
Yeah, I mean it's good. Now he's full out vegan. Believes that's the he argues, and he even states that it is. I forget what percentage he said, but it was a high percentage of his success, and all these things have been due to his diet. But I can tell you, you know, I told you what I was doing that I've been eating. I started eating. I just started reaching what are the natural foods that are good. When you talk about you take nitric oxide supplements and those kind of things that increase blood flow and your vascular, all these things. Well, there's natural ways to do it, like beets. Beets are, some people don't like beets, but they're like beets, and celery has high potassium, and there's you start adding things like that in, and I've never been a real big believer in all that, but I started. When was that? When I started doing I started fooling around with like intermittent fasting and
this summer,
and I started adding in. I ate a beet every day, and you're gonna think I'm crazy, but I ate a beet every day, 6 stalks of celery, and a cucumber every day. And I'm telling you, I feel 1,000 times better. No, that's not all I eat. I eat meat. I try to eat grass fed stuff. We had those Sullivan's on. Yeah, they were on. Eat the pasture raised chicken and eggs and that kind of thing. But I am telling you, man, I have, since I started incorporating that, and basically it doesn't have to be those things, but it has forced me to really get in enough vegetables and those kind of things. And I try to choose the ones that their mineral content gives you the things that you need as an endurance athlete. And man, I'm telling you, it's made a huge difference. And I know, like, we'll go down. We live over there, heading towards Woodruff, and we go down to Mr. Jalapeno Mexican restaurant down there.
2 times a week.
Yeah.
Just tear it up. But
Oh,
but
man.
man, I'm telling you, man, when that next day, you know, you just
You
feel,
can
when you
feel it.
put that junk in your body,
Yep.
it's nothing against Mr. Jalapeno. They got healthy things there too if you want to get them. But when you do that, you feel terrible, and it takes longer. We were joking. You guys are younger than, I mean, you're 14 years younger than me, even more than Hal. I won't say, but you'll see every year that goes by, all those things make more and more of a difference. So yeah, nutrition's always a huge one for you. So what about you two?
Yeah. So for me, when we first started training, again, kind of a blessing in disguise, COVID was happening. So all the kids were out of school. My wife was home with them. So training was pretty free. You know, we were kind of able to, Nathan is an administrator in the school system down there. So he had more time on his hands. We were just training kind of whenever. So kind of a tweak for me, since the distance doubles, training will also drastically increase. It's trying to fit everything in. You know, I'm swimming in the morning or going to the barn, running at lunch sometimes, bricking at night, running in the dark. It's just, you know, trying to fit all that in and still be a dad and coach and be at church and being involved in everything. Is trying to find the time for everything will be an adjustment. The nutrition that Jay spoke of, I cramped really, really bad on the run, in our 70.3. And so that'll be something that I definitely have to tweak too. Hydration was a big issue, I believe, kind of leading up to the race. So tweaking all of that will be, because we're learning. You know, this was our first triathlon experience, and we're jumping right into a full next year. And so we're probably not doing it the smartest way, but it's the way that we do things is just kind of jump in head first. So we're trying to learn it as we go and trying to figure it out.
Well, and the fatigue is always the thing they talk about, that just residual fatigue from just the amount. What'll be interesting for you guys will be, you know, the barn is so important to you, that 5 days a week there, of when you start having to make those, and you just have to make those decisions of what are the priorities this week. And then the other thing you talk about, which is so important, of you don't want to be one of those people that's you're out there reaching all of your physical goals, and your kids want to know where dad is.
Exactly.
You know, I mean, it's that thing. I had somebody tell me one time that you just, when you're really busy and you got a lot of things going on, you got to be 100% present wherever you are.
Right.
And, you know, if you're with your kids, you know, you can't let the excuse of just being tired, because you're going to be tired. You're going to be physically, you can't let that be something that takes away from them. But it's what makes it, it's why most people never even attempt it, you know, why they never even attempt it. All right, so the offensive lineman down there.
Well, and just real quick, you know, hats off to our families, because I think
100%.
already they have made major sacrifices, you know, our wives and our kids.
We didn't get I'm sorry to interrupt. We didn't get medals from Augusta 70.3, but our kids had us little trophies and little medals when we came through the finish line. So it was exciting to see them be excited for us.
And that'll be the best one you ever get.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
Yeah. No, I think for me, you know, we finished 2 weeks ago. I think Monday, I felt terrible. But then Tuesday, I was sitting at the dinner table and I looked at my wife and I was like, is it crazy that I kind of want to do this again? She was like, well, you know, I think you're in good company. I mean, I think there's plenty of people out there that do their first one and they do another one, you know, there's a reason for that. But to both of their points, I think the biggest thing for me physically, I mean, I've dropped 25, 30 pounds, you know, doing this, but I didn't take the nutrition as serious as I should have, you know, and also trying to fit it in time wise, because Morgan's right. There are mornings where we were gone for 3.5 hours on a bike, you know, and Saturday mornings are like, that's good family time, you know, and so finding that balance of, do I get up and go to the barn? Do I go ride my bike? Do I, and then the next thing is so when they first started this venture, I bought a bike off of Craigslist and I was like, I'll just ride with you guys. I'm not doing this Ironman thing, you know? But now that I've done it, I gotta invest in a little more better equipment. So
Oh, you got the fever.
My wife asks me all the time, she's like, when are you going to be done buying stuff for Ironman training? And it's like, I don't know. It's just there's always, you know, different stuff that you see and you want.
Well, I got to get race wheels now.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, oh gosh, man, so many stories on that one. But the problem is you're YouTubing all these videos, and then they're targeting you now.
Oh yeah, they know.
So they're hammering you with it, and it's it's that we talk about stupid stuff triathletes and runners say. It's the it's so much. Hey, I'm gonna get those race wheels. I'm gonna shave about. That bike is going to be it's 9 ounces lighter. So I'm going to spend $3,000 more. Now, I can lose a pound, but I don't want to do that. But I want to
get these wheels.
I'm going to get these wheels. Quick story about wheels. I got some on my actually when I got the triathlon bike I have now, I got the big old race wheels on it and stuff, and I was down there on that loop. But I'll tell you something. They're different. They're fast, but they are. When you hit those side winds coming out of the woods and it hits you, I almost wrecked the very first time on my bike with those. But man, it's exciting to see what you guys do. Now, why Maryland?
It's the flattest course that we could
find.
Okay.
All right.
So
I was just wondering.
We had about 2,400, I think, feet of elevation on our bike. Over 56 miles in Woodruff, and that one's got 462 over 112 miles.
Yeah. So
we were looking for the flattest course we could find.
Sweet. Well, I'm doing Lake Placid. So
that's awesome.
It's it's not flat. It's got a screaming downhill though. You can look up a YouTube video of the keen descent on Lake Placid. I showed my kids, Daddy, you're gonna die. You're not gonna do that. But so Maryland in September, and then you're going to follow it right up with Augusta. So, and you're still now you transferred yours to Augusta.
I'm gonna do Augusta, right? And then I'll do some sprints. During the year, I think.
Yeah. And we'll have to hook up and do some training rides together.
Of course.
We'll be in
one of the races we haven't talked about. We haven't signed up yet, but we will.
Yeah.
It's at the end of January. What's it called?
I don't remember.
It's in Florida. It's a 50-mile run. But the first 5K is a skydive.
What?
Yeah, you jump out of an airplane.
Holy cow!
So it'll be everybody PRs their 5K that day.
Vertical, 5K vertical.
So you land and then you technically run 47.
Yeah. I mean the decisions get worse and worse the deeper you get.
Yes. We talked about doing adventure races. It's like a 24-hour up all night. Or they give you a map and a compass, and you have to reach checkpoints, and you can't stuff like that's fun, but I don't know.
This Team Heart and Soul for us is initially triathlons, but it's just broader, just general fitness kind of events that we can participate in. If people follow us, they might not see us doing triathlons all the time. It might be a Spartan race, it might be a CrossFit competition, it might be a 5K, whatever. So it's a little bit of everything.
It's a great segue into wrapping this thing up with Team Heart and Soul. So tell people. Give them the synopsis again of what that is, what your mission is, how they can follow you, where all your content is, and just what they can do to be involved in that.
Our Team Heart and Soul is a team of guys that do fitness stuff together, and we love being around each other. But the broader goal for us is to raise money through our fitness events, through the things that we participate in for the Woodruff community. This year we got an $8,000 goal, and we're at about 5,500 or so far. Almost 6,000 towards our goal, so we're getting there. We're going to give away Christmas gifts to children and financial assistance to other adults in that household. Our plan is to do multiple families and then carry that into next year. We started Heart and Soul in the middle of the summer or so this year, so we only had about 6 months to raise money, so we have a full year next year to raise money for that. We'll continue doing races and putting out content, and Jay kind of handles all that for us and does a tremendous job on that, and he can kind of guide you on where you guys can see that and the website. But we would just ask anybody that's listening if they'd like to participate, just to look about going to donate. We'd love to have your support.
Yeah, so donations happen through the website, so that's heartandsoul.team. And all the major vlog videos we post, you can find that there too. But if you're just looking for we post stuff all the time, our stories and just funny little videos and things, because we love I love documenting. I'm I said, I own a print company and a design company, so I'm just a creative at heart. So it's a good outlet for me to use. But all of that stuff lives on social media. So between Instagram and Facebook, it's team.heartandsoul for that. So you can look us up there.
Yeah, I'll put all the links in the show notes.
Awesome.
Yep.
But yeah, you can stay up to date with everything there. And same thing he said. I would just encourage, even if it's $5-10, just to put towards the cause. December the 19th is the day that we're going to be giving away things to the community. And we'll document all that so everybody can see it. We're going to encourage people to be a part of that, come out and be a part of that as well. But I think we said December the 1st.
Yeah.
We're trying to cut it off right before the Daytona. It's December the 5th. So December 1st is cut off for donations, and then we'll take that money and kind of do Christmas stuff from that. But if you want to donate or find out any information like that, the website's going to be the best. If you want to stay up to date, the social media is the way to follow us.
Nice. And what kind of content do you put out? You talk about your vlogs and your fans. What do you?
We do stuff from like just random training days, and Jay puts them together so they look really nice for everybody. But random training days, pool time with our family and friends. Just Jay does recaps of our 70.3. That was a video because I participated in it, but I wanted to see that video as much as anybody else because it's awesome to see what he puts together.
Yeah, it was good.
Just really funny stuff, and just kind of day in our life as we try to raise money for the Woodruff community.
It really is vlog based, so like it's all behind the scenes. Like
we sent our wives on a date night,
and we had a daddy daycare. We kept the kids and sent the wives out with a camera so we could capture their stuff, and then we had a camera back of that, just stuff like that. And that's what I was saying. The traction that we're getting with like views and click-throughs and rates, that kind of it's staggering. It's like why does anybody want to watch this stuff? It's fun for us to put it out, and we think as we're doing it, let's make sure we bring the camera for this or do that because we want to make sure people can see it. And it's just funny to watch the response, and people comment or text us, or people we don't even know be like, "Oh, I saw your video." I'm like, cool, how did you find that?
We had people that we didn't even know respond to probably the video you saw about us telling what we were going to do for the Woodruff 70.3 that we have no idea who they are, but they said, "Hey, I was signed up for the Augusta 70.3. I wish I would have known this. I'd have come and done it with you." And that would have been really cool. So it's neat to see the reach that it's having.
Yeah, people want to be encouraged. Next thing you know, Hal pulled up to a stop sign on his bike one day, and somebody said, "Hey, aren't you Hal Morris from the podcast? From the podcast,
famous?
Aren't you guys from the video I saw?" Yes, that's me. Well,
that's awesome.
But people want to be encouraged, and people want real life people that have the same problems, deal with the same things in life that they do, and want to see them being successful and encouraging them and challenging them to be better and be the very best they can be. And that's what you guys are doing. And so we appreciate you guys coming on
Thank you.
and talking to us. And we just encourage you. Hal will put everything in the show notes, and we'll put all that on our social media as well too, and link you up with them. And we look forward to maybe partnering up and doing some things. And
let's ride.
Yeah, we'll ride.
Yeah,
ride chicken foot.
Swim.
We'll go ride chicken foot.
Oh, we'll take you. Yeah. I'll take you up Saluda Grade and
Hal's got
Hallback Mountain.
He's the bike guru, man. He rides all over the place now. But it's amazing. I mean, his story it's for those of you that are listening, and I imagine there'll be a lot of people probably listening to the podcast for the first time that are connected to you guys, and maybe they're not even at the start of their fitness journey. Hal, first time he went out riding, gosh, I mean, poor guy about died. I mean, he couldn't do anything, and now he's smashing it. But just because he's how much weight have you lost now? You've lost 10 last, but how much have you lost total since you started this thing?
About 60.
About 60 since the doctor basically told him that you're going to be taking medicine the rest of your life and have all these problems unless you get it under control. And he's done that. And there are people that, you guys, through what you're doing, not only with the financial help that you're going to give people at Christmas, but through fitness and people getting their health in line, it could literally change the trajectory of their lives.
Yeah.
And that's what this podcast is about. It's what your ministry, whatever you want to call it, but that's what it is. is about, and we look forward to being a part of it and partnering up and maybe helping with some of the stuff.
Of course,
and
be great.
And doing that. So, team, say it again. How do you get to it?
So heartandsoul.team is the website.
Heartandsoul.team. Where they find you on Facebook?
It's the opposite. So team.heartandsoul.
Team.heartandsoul.
All the other ones were taken.
We'll put everything on our social media and get that out to you. But guys, we appreciate you coming on the podcast. We look
It
forward
was a
to-
pleasure. Thank you for having us.
We look forward to having you on. Now, we will have you guys on again in our So You Want to Be an Ironman series
That'd be great.
that we're going to start.
We do race reports too.
Yeah,
so.
we'll do race reports. We do the whole thing. So we'll really make it happen. And we look forward to seeing you guys walk across that finish line with your hands held high.
Yeah.
It's gonna be awesome.
In there, it will be awesome. And you guys are doing an awesome thing. So I also look forward to December, seeing the lives you guys are going to change down in the community of Woodruff. So do hard things, family. We I hope you've been encouraged and challenged, and I hope you just see that if you'll, like we talk about all the time, if you do the hard things daily, tomorrow will take care of itself. And you've heard from these guys who started and had a goal, and next thing you know, they've got people following them, and these are just regular guys just like us, and people are following them and being encouraged. And whatever the change you need to make today, and whatever good decisions you need to start making to take control of your health, your physical, spiritual, emotional health, you need to make that choice and do it today. And like we just said, if you'll just do the hard things today, tomorrow will take care of itself.